With close to 250,000 travelers, the California Trail was no stranger to disease and death. The brave souls who picked up their leaves and headed west during the mid and late 19th century were heading into trials it is hard for most of us to imagine today. Unfortunately, frontier doctors were few and far between, and medicine along America's overland trails can be summed up in these 4 words: anything but the doctor. Unsanitary conditions, a lack of clean water access, limited diets, harsh weather, and exhaustion all contributed to the number 1 killer on the overland trail west: illness. Although many travelers thought moving away from crowded cities would decrease their chance of getting sick, the westward expansion also expanded the potential areas for bacteria and virus to spread. Cholera, for example, made its way to the west coast from a Missouri epidemic of the disease on and in the bodies of hopeful 49 ERS joining the California Gold Rush. You can get a good idea of typical overland trail hazards from the diary of James Akin Jr., which lists 3 drownings, a man crushed by a wagon, 3 cholera deaths, many more unspecified illness, the death of his mother, father, and sister. With such a prevalence of disease and potential for fatal infection, why didn't every wagon trail have its own doctor? Believe it or not, in the mid-1800s, physicians had little science-based knowledge on what caused most sickness. Calling the doctor in was as much of a crapshoot as relying on the nearest quack of untrained person calling themselves a doctor. Physicians as a profession were held in such low regard during the early and mid-1800s that several states stopped certifying and licensing doctors. Anybody could put up a sign and call themselves a doctor, and a lot of folks did. The end of the Oregon Trail. Until the 1860s, and in some sections long afterward, a frontier doctor was almost any man who called himself on. It is a safe guess that not more than a fourth of them held degrees from medical schools. Most learned by the apprentice system, and some were self-taught. Self-appointed healers who hung out their shingles when they got the call. From American Heritage. Early American medicine. Many mid-19th century medical remedies did more harm than good. Often your best case scenario was to have no benefit from the treatment without fatal side effects. Today, seeing a list of common doctor prescribed and practiced remedies from this time at our own medical clinics would send us running, most likely to the nearest medical board. Dr. Benjamin rushed to Captain Meritwell Lewis for preserving his health. Flannel should be worn constantly next to the skin, especially in wet weather. Washing the feet every morning in cold water will conduce very much to fortify them against the action of cold. Common pioneer remedies. Common pioneer remedies, on the other hand, were more similar to folk medicine, aka granny medicine. The typical trail medical kit might include a popular home remedy reference, the family nurse, Guns domestic medicine, or the family handbook. Pills, castor oil, rum or whiskey, peppermint oil, quinine for malaria, hartshorn for snakebite, citric acid for scurvy, opium, laudanum, morphine, calomel, and tincture of camphor. Mountain men working for the early fur trapping industry were known to treat illness with native herbs and plants cleaned from Native Americans and to get rid of lice from their clothes by leaving them atop an anthill. Habit, the real story of the Wild West, filled with untold tales and legends that deserve to be remembered. It is a story of courage, resilience, and the enduring spirit of the American frontier. If you enjoyed this journey into the lesser-known aspects of the Wild West, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of American Wild West.